See, Mike's great at everything.
Good job, Mike.
Yeah, Mike of all trades.
Oh, didn't.
So yeah, that's going on. They're supposed to be starting radio. We'll get a little more info on that next week, but they're starting in April. And then from there, we get our official release date sometime this summer.
So how'd you come up with the title 151? Was it like a Bacardi thing, or?
Well, it's
Sort
highly
of.
a Bacardi.
Highly, yeah.
Well, not
Highly
necessarily
flammable.
Bacardi, but it is definitely high
Oh,
proof
good
rum.
point,
age.
actually.
Is that how it became?
That's a very good point. Yeah, all right, so we when we were extremely poor and living all in a two-bedroom apartment in Kenmore Square, it was 5 guys, actually sometimes there was 6 of us there.
There'd be a lot of sexy parties at that.
Oh, I'm sure there
Yeah,
is.
it was, they were
BO and all.
Yeah. It was a pretty wild time. We did, I don't know, pretty much everything that's on the album kind of came out of some sort of experience or ridiculousness that happened there. And that was, I guess, there's none left. There's none
There are
left.
no reasons left.
That was pretty much one of the first songs we wrote. We actually started a little bit before we were living there, but we fleshed it out there. It was it started off as a joke song. It was kind of we wrote some different lyrics over Night Train by Guns N' Roses, and we're joking about it because we were drinking 151 like crazy. And then we thought we were like so cool and badass for drinking what we thought was harder stuff than what Guns N' Roses was
Still do.
doing. Yeah, you know, we missed the heroin step. Well, not all
Thankfully.
missed it, I guess, but most of the band missed that. And
Skip that part.
Yeah.
and
Everybody present, skip that.
Okay.
So, yeah, but we were drinking 151 and writing like all these lyrics that were kind of sarcastic about that, and everybody really liked the song. And so we started playing it a bunch at parties, and then eventually we started playing it live, and we kept getting so many requests for it. And just like, all right, well, I guess we should maybe try making this into something real. So we sat down and turned it into its own thing now, and it seems to be the fan favorite still. So that's one for the single.
That's sweet. And you guys are signed, which is
Yep.
which is a huge deal because a lot of bands right now that are starting off or they've made their point is not signed yet.
It's really hard to get signed these days.
Yeah.
I mean, just the entire
Just the
music
hurdles
industry.
to clear are so
Yeah.
difficult. They want to have proof that you know like what you're doing and you're. It's more than competency and it's more than just fans. It's like some magic formula that no record industry exec could actually tell you why they sign anyone. Just like, seems like this will let me keep my job. So it's really tough for even very talented independent bands to get signed nowadays,
Right.
which is honestly not the way it should be, but unfortunately it's the way it is.
It
Yeah.
sucks for bands.
Well, and a big thing too is that there's just, because there isn't the same money anymore, you see how many acts are being put out on the road that were big, 20, 30 years ago. They're paying those guys tons of money because they already have a fan base to go out there and, regroup and reunite and do a reunion tour. And I think that money that would normally be going to developing the next new acts is going back to those, what they kind of call dinosaur acts. We love you guys, but sorry. And, when they send those guys out on the road, now the new bands have no funding, so they don't have the money to go sign a new band. And
Right.
it's obviously going to end up catching up with people eventually because you can't tour into your 70s and 80s. Most of
I mean, you could, but
yeah, it
I'm
kind
sure
of,
Keith Richards will still be doing
it
that.
diminishes after a
Probably.
while. Yeah, unless you, IV dripping and bombing fluid, you're pretty much, going to top out around your 60s.
the 60s, yeah.
Yeah, but when it seems like safer to have Collective Soul on a bill than it does to have like a modern band, it's like really,
Yeah,
there's something wrong going on.
yeah. So we
It's
got
the
really
industry.
lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got really, really lucky. We've had great support from our label. They let us record everything the way we wanted to. They let us record all the exact songs that we wanted with the production that we wanted for this album. And you don't really get to see that much anymore. Usually the labels come in and are
They're
much
very
more
slick.
heavy-handed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was awesome, and at the end of the day, we're sinking and swimming off of what we believe in. And everything that's on this album wasn't, put together by some focus group in a marketing meeting, in a label someplace saying, hey, how can we catch the biggest amount of, audience members and talk about pickup trucks and six-packs, although we do talk about alcohol a lot, but, this is all what
And
we
pickup
wanted.
trucks.
Yeah, our focus group is generally bartenders, and
Yeah.
they're the only people that would listen to us after a certain point at night. So that's where a lot of our feedback came
They're the
from.
ones that put up with you guys, right?
Like,
to
oh,
the very
just
end.
you have cash, right? Just tell me you have cash. Well, about this song, all right, let's see the money first.
So you guys are signed to Bronx Bridge Entertainment.
Yep, it's
They're not located in the Bronx.
No, they're not located in the Bronx. The head of the label, Chris Brown, originally grew up in New York, and he's out here in Boston now. He has practice out here. And he started Bronx Bridge about 3.5 years ago, and we were the first act he signed,
Oh, sweet.
which is really cool.
That's
And
exciting.
Yeah, and he, like I said, he really believed in us. He believed in what we were doing, and we had so much momentum going for us that, he said, all right, you guys got this going in this direction, so, let's ride with what you got. And he hasn't meddled in much. He hasn't made us go with any specific producers or any specific,
Right.
Anybody. It's all been kind of let the band do what they were doing because it was working pretty well to start with.
So does this record label have a certain genre of people who they take, like bands that they take, or is it?
This record label is kind of been, pretty diverse with what they've done. On the label was also Bobby Brown. There was, God, they've
Hip hop,
Yolanda
R&B.
Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little soul, I think.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some R&B,
Gospel.
there's some gospel. We are, as of the last time I checked,
The only rock
Yeah.
band, I think.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So we're kind of his first foray into the rock stuff, which is both good and bad. I mean, some of it is, we're all kind of learning on the fly. But as far as it not being like a stale thing for him to go, and he's really excited about, breaking his first rock act.
Right, and hopefully, he'll get more bands after that. And you guys,
We would love to have more guys like us on the label. You always want more, people that you get along with and that are, good for your genre of music on the team, so.
I mean, quite honestly, the best thing I can say about Bronx Bridge is the fact that we're excited to talk about them as opposed to, oh, yeah, our label, F them.
Yeah.
We're so sick of dealing with it.
I mean, some bands are like, oh man, my label's doing this and that, and I
Yeah.
hate it,
Yeah.
and blah, 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 but
They've been so open and so supportive.
That's
that
very
it's really
good.
refreshing.
Yeah, it's actually, that's cool too. We were talking about this in another interview. It was just that we kind of do have almost a family relationship, and actually, I don't even know if we.
I
I'd say
have given
almost.
him a noogie before.
Yeah.
You're that
with our
close.
and I mean, sometimes
each
we
other's
fight like a family too, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's something where even if we're arguing about, some direction or what happened with,
Or One
a
Direction.
venture or whatever.
No, I would never argue about One Direction.
William,
blow it up, blow it up. So, where do you guys practice? Do you have your own studio, or do you go somewhere?
we have a basement.
You have a basement, okay.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
actually a couple places that we've been
Yeah.
practicing lately. Lately, it's just been in our apartment, because we're trying to work on a bunch of material for doing radio. The first thing that they're talking about sending us on is a radio promo tour, so.
Oh, nice.
Sure, as you know, it's a little acoustic electric performance and
Right.
stuff, stopping at the stations. So, that's stuff that we've done a little bit, a few years back, we did a bunch of that, and then we kind of gotten out of practice of it, so we wanted to, get together and do something new with that, and really, figure out what else we wanted to do for songs, how we wanted to arrange stuff, and that was another reason why we brought Mikey in, because it just helps, flesh out the sound. It takes, one instrument out of my hand so I can just sing.
Right.
And yeah, so we've been practicing a lot of that stuff now, and we're, I don't know, what do we got? We got a couple new songs up that aren't even on the album that we're playing with. I don't know why we're practicing stuff that isn't even on the album, but.
I've asked you that before.
Yeah. But we were excited about it. It's-
Always
You
good
need
to
new
sounds
fresh
great.
things to work on.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Your most exciting song is always your newest song, so.
Exactly.
But yeah, we're doing that. We've been playing a lot of, just covers off of like Exile on Main Street. What else? We're doing some Zeppelin stuff and.
Just a lot of bluesy stuff.
Yeah,
in
just a
general.
lot of bluesy stuff to really, when it gets stripped down, that's what we like about our music too, is that it does, it holds up when you pull it back into acoustic. Actually, sometimes it's even better because you don't have all the extra noise and the distortion of the guitars covering it up.
Right.
You can actually hear what the two parts are that the guitarists are playing. And Todd and Alex actually both wrote really, really great parts that work phenomenally together with
Do
each
you
other.
guys all write songs together?
Yeah, it's the stuff on this album was written a certain way, and I think the stuff as we're going forward seems to be taking a little bit of a different turn on how it's getting written. But a lot of the stuff on this album was written where I would sit down with a guitar and kind of come up with the ballpark. These are the lyrics, it's the melody or whatever, and these are some chords that work under it. And then
And
hand
yeah,
it
by
over.
the time it was done, it's completely different.
Yeah, it was a completely different animal, and and they just all kind of add their own stuff, and then they change inflections on things, or they change, you know, Bo was always great at putting the
British
breakdowns, bridge sections. Yeah, British accents and women.
Women
No,
or
but like,
women accents?
it's, the meat and potatoes are one thing, but then what makes it an entire band, like a Crash Midnight effort, is the fact that, you know, we have a great idea and concept of the song, and then bring it to the rest of the band, and it kind of fleshes it out and makes it our own, in a direction that, like, if you bring it to another band, it would sound completely different, and that's something that I really like about our finished product.
Right.
Yeah, and it's kind of the push and pull of everybody, you know, putting their own stamp on the music that makes it sound the way that it does.
Exactly.
You know, if we changed out any members, I feel like it wouldn't have the same, you know, the same style to it. It wouldn't sound like us.
Yeah. Uh,
That was your one opportunity.
I know,
Should've been laying
Go for
low.
the cockfight.
So
So,
far